Welcome to part 2 of our mini-series on the how of giving effective criticism. We are looking at the rebuke of Moshe Rabbeinu to the Jewish people in Parshas Devarim to glean valuable lessons and insights of how we should approach giving criticism when it is necessary in our personal lives. The first issue we're going to look at is the timing. Moshe Rabbeinu rebukes the Jewish people for various sins that they did throughout the 40 years that they were in the desert, most of which took place in the first year of the Exodus. Moshe Rabbeinu did not rebuke them in the moment, but rather waited 40 years until he was going to pass away to deliver his rebuke. The first thing we learn from this is the importance of not criticizing in the moment. Because in the moment when our emotions are heightened, we are liable to lash out with anger, and that emotion is going to limit the effectivity of our rebuke, of our criticism, and is likely to increase and magnify the pain and hurt that is caused to the other person. Rather, we should take time to breathe, to relax, and to reflect. Is it necessary to give criticism? And if so, how am I going to approach it in the most effective and sensitive of ways? The second reason that Moshe rebukes the Jewish people before his passing is described in the Medrash. Moshe Rabbeinu learned this from Yaakov Avinu, who only rebuked his children before passing away, and later David and Shmuel HaNavi did the same as well. And the Medrash lists 4 reasons why a person should rebuke only before passing away. Reason number 1 is that he not rebuke him repeatedly. Because if we give a criticism to someone, and that criticism is not listened to, is not followed, is not employed, then when we see the action repeated, we will give the criticism again and again and again. And of course that becomes like a broken record, it becomes like nagging, it becomes something which is repetitive, and we harp on things, and that causes only increased pain, increased frustration, and it's very difficult. So criticism should be like an injection. You go in as quick as possible, give it once, and have it over and done with. Point number 2, says the Medrash, is that the reason one should rebuke before passing away is that the other not be shamed in their sight. And we know that when we've been criticized by someone, even if it's been well meant, we always feel a sense of shame or embarrassment when we see that person. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to spare the Jewish people that shame that they would have if they were to face him again, and therefore he rebukes them before passing away, so they would not need to see him again and have to experience that shame in his presence. Reason number 3, so the rebuker not bear a grudge in his heart. Because if the rebuker, the one giving the criticism, his words are not accepted, his words are not followed, then they may feel a resentment and a grudge towards the person that they have rebuked. And Moshe Rabbeinu did not want to have the risk of carrying around such a grudge for a number of years. And finally, the Medrash says, so that the one who is being rebuked not leave him and go elsewhere. Because rebuke and criticism, if not delivered properly and effectively, can turn a person away and can ruin a relationship, something which Moshe Rabbeinu did not want to risk. Additional reasons for rebuking before one passes away is brought in various other Sfarim. Number 1, it's a time when the love between the two people is heightened, knowing that this may be the last time that they see one another, and therefore it is more likely that their words are going to be given with love and received out of love. Whilst we don't always have the luxury of waiting until the end of days before giving rebuke, and sometimes it's necessary to give that criticism somewhat close to the incidents that took place, we can at least learn and appreciate the sensitivities from these reasons that the Medrash gives. The number 1, not to harp on things. Say it once, leave it to the person to work out how they are going to improve themselves and deal with it, rather than going on and on and on. Point number 2, be very careful not to allow that other person to see shame, and to go out of your way to show them that you mean no harm and no ill will, and that you only have their best interests in heart, and that it was not a big deal, it does not impact the relationship. Number 3, to avoid bearing a grudge, that even if our rebuke is not heeded, we respect them as individuals and we leave it up to them rather than having negative ill will towards them. And finally, to make sure that our rebuke is given out of a heightened sense of love and respect for the other person, so that we will give it with love and they will receive it as love as well. Be'ezras Hashem, we will continue with some more insights from Moshe Rabbeinu in tomorrow's post.